i ke aloha aka ipo. Hana mau oli i ka puai. Ho li i ka poli. No velo i ka pili au au.
Well, welcome aboard, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim. I'll be a pilot around the island this afternoon. While we're getting ready to go, though, I have to give you a safety briefing according to the FAA, let you know where everything's at. So I'll go ahead and do that. The exits, of course, are the doors. To open the doors normally, it's the silver handle at the very back of the door. Just push down the forward end of it. It'll swing open all by itself. There's also an emergency jettison handle at the forward lower part of both front doors. That's that red handle. If you had to use this, just rip off the cover, pull the handle to the rear. It disconnects the hinges. The door will come right off. Both front doors do that, so that's emergency only. Fire extinguisher is right here on the floor on my right side. First aid kit and survival kits are both just under the back seat. Need to keep your seatbelts on throughout the flight. No smoking. You are wearing life jackets in case we go over water. Anytime you do leave the aircraft, though, go to the front, never to the back because of the tail rotor being back there. And we'll be ready to go here in just a second. Well, as we get a little ways off Kahului Airport, if you've been around the island a day or so, you've probably already seen all these green fields out here in the Central Valley. That's all sugarcane, one of our primary crops here in Hawaii. They harvest sugar about every 18 to 20 months, pretty long growing season, but there aren't any real seasons in Hawaii. Things grow year-round, so they just stagger the planting, and they harvest year-round as well. It does take a lot of water, though, and you can see a lot of it from up in the air, all these reservoirs and irrigation channels everywhere. It takes about 2,000 pounds of water to produce about 8 pounds of sugar cane. And if you took 8 pounds of sugar cane to the mill, they'll give you back about 1 pound of refined sugar. Not very much for a ton of water. The year ending 1995, Maui produced 201,000 tons of raw sugar that year. That was down a little bit from 94, but pretty much standard amount for Maui to produce. They say that sugar has been in Hawaii ever since Hawaiians have. When they first migrated here from Tahiti, they brought sugar cane with them. And this is our largest plantation on Maui, 36,000 acres of it in the Central Valley. That main road just out to our left is the Haleakala Highway. It starts in Kahului, goes right past the airport, or the heliport even, all the way up to the rim of the crater. They say not another highway in the world climbs as high as fast as this one does. It's only 36 miles long, but it goes from sea level to 10,000 feet, 36 miles. If you're in town or Kahului, it takes about an hour and a half to get to the rim of the crater. Really not that long. Pretty good road. As we gradually climb out of the Central Valley, we'll pass over several little communities out ahead of us. There's about 8 little towns all together, scattered across the lower 1/3 of the mountain. But generally, if you hear somebody talking about this area, they just say up country. If you ever hear that phrase or even see postcards to that effect occasionally, this is what they're talking about. Any one of these little communities along the front of the mountain here. Town out to our left is Pukalani, and translated that word means gateway to heaven. You'll notice a lot of agriculture going on up to our left front here, a lot of different kinds of crops. You can tell by the color and the texture of the fields. That's where most of our produce is grown that's consumed locally here on Maui. Well, as we're cruising along up country to our left, we have the town of Kihei down to our right. Starts on the right end at Sugar Beach. That's the beach that goes all the way across to Ma'alaya, little town on the far side. Kihei goes about 4 miles, almost 5 down to the left before it turns into Wailea and then McKenna. A lot of nice resorts down there. In Wailea, you have the Aston, the Renaissance, the Grand Wailea, the Four Seasons, and the Kialani Resort. Down in McKenna, the Maui Prince. Now beyond Kihei and Wailea, you can see a couple of islands out in the distance. The larger one, the farthest one away, is Koho'olawe. The island the U.S. Navy used as a target for about 50 years. They started shooting at it at the beginning of World War II. They stopped in 1990, and it was only because of public opinion. People wanted the island turned back over to the state. So the Navy started the process. It took about 4 years. May the 6th, 1994, they officially turned it over to the state of Hawaii, but of course no one could go over there because 50 years of bombing has left quite a number of unexploded bombs laying all over the island. So the federal government allocated $400 million to be spent over the next 10 years cleaning Koho'olawe up. And when they get it cleaned up, they're going to turn it over to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands and make it available for native Hawaiians to homestead. Now the very small island, about halfway across the channel, is Molokini. There's nobody out there now, I don't think, but usually quite a few people go out there every morning. Molokini is a very popular spot to snorkel and scuba dive. On the average, about 2,000 people a day visit the island. It is in fact the #1 snorkeling spot in the state. Skin Diver magazine ranks it number 6 in the world. Well, the clouds are kind of concealing a little bit, but there's a forest straight ahead of us up here on the side of the mountain. And this is the Poli Poli Springs State Park and Recreation Area. Nice place to go hiking or camping. Well, as we approach Haleakala, the word means House of the Sun, and this is the largest dormant volcano in the United States, 10,023 feet tall. Last erupted 207 years ago, and for a volcano, of course, that's about like early this morning. Scientists say that Haleakala had erupted pretty routinely about every 200 years throughout this phase of its life, and 1990 was the anniversary, so in theory, we're only about 7 years overdue with its past history. We'll be approaching a ridge line straight ahead that descends from the summit all the way to the ocean back to our right. It's called the Southwest Rift. It's a big fault line in the side of Haleakala. As we cross it, you'll see that what appears to be just bumps from here is actually from volcanic activity that's occurred all up and down this ridge. The last time Haleakala erupted 207 years ago, this ridgeline is where it erupted at. It was a series of small volcanic eruptions all the way down the Southwest Rift. And from up here, you can also see the big island of Hawaii, our neighbors down to the south. That's out to our right front over on the horizon. You can see a couple of mountains nestled in the distant clouds. The big mountain on the left with snow on top of it is Mauna Kea. It means a white mountain. They call it that because it keeps a snow cap on it most of the year. Mauna Loa on the right means the long mountain. All the buildings you see out to our left front is what they call Science City. And that's a NASA flight tracking station, its primary function. They track all the shuttle flights and satellites, just about everything from up here. The University of Hawaii also does lunar and solar experiments here too, though, with some of the telescopes. On occasion, the U.S. Air Force even fires lasers from this facility. As we pass Science City, we'll be coming up along the southern rim of the largest volcanic crater in the world. Haleakala crater covers about 19 square miles in area. It's roughly 7.5 miles long, 2.5 miles wide, 3,000 feet deep, large enough to accommodate New York's Manhattan Island inside of it, from Wall Street to Spanish Harlem. All the little hills in the crater are little cinder cones or miniature volcanoes from previous very minor events and eruptions. Different colors, just different minerals in the soil. Iron oxide gives the red rusty color and sulfur yellows and so on. There are 36 miles of hiking trails in there though, since it is a national park, and they give guided tours over parts of those. We're on the southern side of Haleakala right now, and for 82% of the year, this is the downwind side of the mountain. So it doesn't really get much rainfall. At its driest place here, maybe 15 to 20 inches annually. And it gets most of that in the winter months, which we're in now. Not many people living back this way, just too far to drive or commute. Back when Captain Cook first sailed past this part of Maui, he wrote in his journal that there were about 5,000 Hawaiians living on this side of the island. We'll be passing a big break in the crater wall coming up to our left front. You can see where a section of it is missing. And that's called the Kaupo Gap. It's where lava had burst out the side of the original crater some time ago and floated all the way to the ocean. Coming into a valley called Manawa Nui just ahead of us. It means powerful waters. The waterfalls here actually fall over 3,000 feet top to bottom. That's over half a mile. Real pretty valley, this Mount Waianui, but almost impossible to get to without a helicopter. No roads or trails back here. Where it was very dry behind us, it suddenly changes to very dense native Hawaiian forest land for several miles. There are actually 5 different climate zones on Haleakala. And there is one very small town just out to our right front, right out along the ocean. You can see a few scattered houses, and that's the entire town, but that's Kipahulu, which is known to be the burial place of a very famous aviation pioneer in American history, the first man to ever fly across the Atlantic Ocean. That, of course, was Charles Lindbergh, May of 27, but he came to this part of Maui in the early 70s. Spent the rest of his life right here. We're over the Kipahulu Valley, which is actually part of Haleakala National Park and Forest Reserve. And it also includes a little stream we're crossing over called the Ohio Gulch. About every mile you travel in this direction, though, your average annual rainfall increases by about 10 inches per mile. Crossing over another valley up ahead called the Waihoi Valley. It's also part of Haleakala National Park and Forest Reserve, and since it is, they won't even let hikers go in it. They say there are over 2,500 different kinds of plants here that you won't find anywhere else in the world except Hawaii. In fact, if you took the entire list of endangered species plants to the U.S., you'll find that 25% of them are located in this state. Well, another little town straight ahead of us along the shoreline, the little town of Hana. Pretty small, very quiet. If you're from a big city and you like having choices about things in life, you might not like Hana very much. One hotel, one gas station, one general store. Not a lot to choose from, but it's pretty quiet. It's known to Hawaiians as being the birthplace of their most popular queen, and her name was Ka'ahumanu, the first female ruler in Hawaiian history. Now at Hana, we have to turn left, and it puts us onto the windward side of Haleakala, which receives most of the rain, anywhere from 365 to 400 inches per year, which is enough to qualify it as the largest rainforest in the United States. Well, we're coming up on the Kenai Valley just ahead of us, and a little town by the same name is at the ocean end of it. The little town of Kenai. Little waterfall kind of hiding back in the corner is called Kano Falls, which Kano in Hawaiian means hidden. we're going to head out over the water up ahead at a place called the Hana Bay. It's a beautiful bay, but not a very good idea to go swimming here. Translated, it means gathering place of sharks. See parts of a very crooked road kind of snaking its way around Hana Bay, and that's all part of the infamous Hana Highway. This road is quite a piece of engineering. Well, building it maybe wasn't such a feat, but being able to put over 617 turns into a road that's only 51 miles long was quite a feat. And as if that wasn't going to be enough, they also put in 54 one-lane bridges where you have to wait and take turns with oncoming traffic, so it can take a while. But as we come around the corner, you see a big rock sitting here just offshore. If you ever do see that movie Jurassic Park, you'll see this rock again. It's in the opening scene when they first fly onto the island where the dinosaurs live. They started filming that movie here on Maui, then moved to Kauai. About the middle of filming on Kauai, they were hit with Hurricane Iniki, so they moved back to the rainforest near Hana and finished off. All the scenes that were filmed here on Maui were filmed by Blue Hawaiian helicopters. Well, actually, a little more of the Hana Highway as we get a little further down the road. It does not tend to straighten up any. just about every day, regardless of what's going on in the rainforest, the clouds and the rain just disappear about this point as it changes over to the Central Valley of Maui. And this is where you find a lot of our dairy farms, though. The Haleakala dairy is one specifically that we'll be crossing over. The first town you'd actually run into is straight ahead of us, and that's the little town of Makawa. The word means edge of the forest. Very unique little town Makawa is. Originally this was, the settlement was from Portuguese settlers, early immigrants here to the islands, and somewhere along the line it took a real western turn. A lot of cowboys up here now, or pandiolas as they call themselves in Hawaii. If you can come back to Makawa the next 4th of July that comes around, you can see the 32nd annual Makawa Rodeo. Real big event up here. All these green, really dark green fields around Makawa are pineapples, our other major crop here in Hawaii. They think pineapples came to the islands by accident from a Spanish shipwreck. They have experimented quite a lot, though, since then. They've just about settled on the South American variety now throughout Hawaii. It's called a cayenne pineapple. Harvested about every 2 years or 24 months. The plant itself normally doesn't get too tall, maybe 2.5, 3 feet at the most, but because of the very unusual size and shape of this fruit, you must pick it by hand, one by one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, brings us just about all the way back to the Honolulu airport off to our right front. When we do eventually get to land up here, someone will come out and open the doors for you and escort you inside. Hope you enjoy your stay here in Hawaii and have a safe trip home. I'd like to have you back in the islands real soon.